Hi, dear community. How are you? Today we are together again to discuss something that may be of interest to you, which is Lady Macbeth. Here with me, I have Lei Maiden. Hello, Lei Maiden.
Oh, hey again, dear community.
Hello, and we are going to talk about Lady Macbeth then. How do you feel about it?
Well, super excited. I actually wanted to kick things off with a song that really reminds me of her. Well, it's called "The Dream That Never Ends" by Lana Lane. The
Great.
yes, the mood, the lyric, it's like stepping right into her head. Can almost feel that mix and power and regret.
Mm. Exactly. So this is what we are going to talk about today. A lot of feelings, a lot of negative feelings, and some of the history actually behind Lady Macbeth comes from a guy whose name was Holinshed, Ralph Holinshed actually, and he recorded some chronicles of the history of Scotland in the 11th century. And there the murder of King Duff by Donwald as well goes something like both murders were committed because the husband was sort of influenced by his wife to do it. It is as if the woman had been the brains behind the muscle, sort of. So by their influence, men committed magnicide, which is really a serious crime to commit. Magnicide is to kill a king or a governor, a president, whatever, the person in power. So this is rather serious stuff. And Shakespeare took these events from history to write the play we well know as Macbeth, which is a tragedy, right? And so
Right.
the figure of Lady Macbeth there, even though she is a secondary character, I I have to say that I don't agree with the idea that she's a secondary character. For me, she is practically one of the main characters. But well, she's the brain behind the muscle.
Exactly, and that's the reason Lana Lane sings about her. Now, "The Dream That Never Ends," sung by this American singer, was released as part of her album Lady Macbeth. The album was inspired by Shakespeare's famous tragedy, and this specific track stands out not only for her melancholic beauty, but also for the emotional complexity of its lyrics and psychological insight.
Exactly.
Music, yes, musically, the song blends progressive rock, symphonic metal, and melodic elements to create a haunted atmosphere. It feels ethereal, dreamlike, yet heavy, as if memory, guilt, and obsession were pressing down on every note.
Definitely,
Lana's voice,
yes.
yes, Lana's voice is both delicate and commanding, which fits perfectly with the inner conflict of the character she represents, Lady Macbeth.
Your description is so accurate because while I was listening to the song, I thought, what a sweet voice she has. Still, it's so powerful. It comes from some place full of energy and intention, but it's a very delicate voice. So it's very enticing to listen to, and at the same time, the music goes very well with the track and with the lyrics. So I really enjoyed it. And the astounding thing is that they produced a full album based on Lady Macbeth.
Yes. Well, speaking about this song, what fascinated to me is how the song alternates among first, second, and third person. Uh, in many parts, she says, "I see you, you are calling me." She walks alone. This shift in voice is not random. It's a representation. It's not like it's a representation of a fragmented identity, something that philosopher Michel Foucault wrote about extensively. According to,
Yeah,
yes,
sorry, tell me more about that because it's very interesting. Talking about
yeah.
fragmented personality and dreams and all that is a fascinating topic. So, what can you tell us about that?
Well, the idea of I is not fixed or unified. It is constructed by discourse, shaped by history, institutions, and power. In this song, Lady Macbeth no longer speaks with one voice. She is split between the past and present, guilt and desire, also love and horror. She sometimes talks to herself, observes herself from the outside, and sometimes dissolves completely, as in a dream where she can no longer tell who she is.
Yes, definitely. I agree with those ideas because obviously Foucault was right in every word. But I was thinking about this idea of power and how she builds her own self through the power around her, and the fact that she's a woman at that time, and women were very rarely allowed any degree of power. So the only way she has of exerting her power is through the influence upon her husband. It is as if there are points in the play in which she thinks of herself as wanting to be unsexed. The famous speech in which she summons the spirits and she commands them to unsex her. Come, you spirits, and unsex me here. Sort of asking for those faculties that were attributed to men so that she can do what the horrible deed she has to carry out. Um, and this is all related to power relationships and the power behind the throne, right?
Right. Yeah, completely agree. It's super interesting to see it from that deeper angle, because we usually think of Lady Macbeth as just the ambitious one. But if we look at her through these theories, she actually is trapped in something much bigger than herself, in her body, in her desire, in how she perceives reality. And that moment when she starts sleepwalking, I don't know, it's like her unconscious just couldn't stay quiet anymore. Like her mind was saying, okay, if you are not going to talk about this, I will.
Definitely. We will go back to the dreamlike state in a moment because something came to
Yes,
my mind and I was caught in this idea of power and in the fact that it is us women who deliver children in the world. We are the ones who carry the baby in the womb for a long time, and then we deliver the baby and we breastfeed and all that. And there's a part in Macbeth in which she tells her husband, Macbeth, that she would have been even capable of removing the baby from her breast while it was sucking, and she would have crushed the brains out of the baby's head if she had promised to. And this was a very shocking image, right? Because we usually think of a mother as a tender person, a caring person, the one who tries to protect the baby and all that. And what she's telling us here is, I would be capable of getting rid of my offspring if it were necessary, if I had promised to do so. So do as you told me. But again, I go back to the female image of the mother murdering her child, and it's so shocking. I really think it has a lot to do with this idea of power and the power we women have when we raise children, how we do it, and how we look after children. Um, and how in this part of the story she is presented as a ruthless person, someone who has the power to repress every motherly feeling in order to execute a deed which is very cruel. You know what I mean? So I was really shocked by that. And I thought that this was very much connected with the thing you said, that repressing and repression cause something that gets triggered in spite of the person's decision, right? Taking back the idea of the dream and the song in which the dream is mentioned over and over again, right? We have this image of Lady Macbeth sleepwalking.
Yes, I say if I remember, she starts sleepwalking again, and her mind starts saying that something is wrong. So I think that I said, if you're not going to talk about this, I will. That's her unconscious talking.
Exactly, because she's sleepwalking and she has a tendency towards seeing stains, blood stains over her hands, and she performs the action of washing without water, of course, because she's sleepwalking. Uh, and so she washes and washes, and she complains that the stains and the smell do not go away. But as far as she does this in private, there's no problem. The problem comes when the doctor and the nurse get involved because they see her doing that. And so there are witnesses to this.
Yeah, and there is the famous line in Shakespeare, "Oh, outdone sport," becomes in the song the dream that never ends too, as a punishment that never ends, because there is no more stable self to escape it. So in the end, this is just not a song about a woman from a play. It is a song about what happens when identity collapses, when guilt, power, love, and fear rip you into pieces. Lana's voice gives sounds to that collapse.
Definitely. Indeed. Yes. And it's very appealing, I mean, to listen to that. And taking back this idea of repression and the dreams and all that, the obsession she has with blood stains, um, because you know that she smeared blood on the guards' faces. She was not the one to uh, draw the dagger into the king's chest, but she went and finished whatever she had to finish. And so she was very much involved. And the thing is, she has been trying to repress this feeling of guilt for such a long time that there comes a time when she can't do this anymore. And this is when in dreams she sees the spots of blood and she can't remove them. There's no way she can remove them.
Yes, that's true.
And according to Carl Gustav Jung, the emotional energy that is carried in those feelings which are repressed, well, dreams are supposed to help you deal with that energy which is repressed. So she has been consciously repressing, but the ideas and the fear and the guilt remain in the unconscious. And this is how they pop up again in dreams. And this is why she sleepwalks, trying to wash those stains that only she can see.
Yes, when we talk about Lady Macbeth, these philosophical ideas around dreams and conscious guilt and desire, it is interesting to see how her character has influenced others in literature and TV today, what we call intertextuality.
Exactly. Yes.
Yes, a really great example is Cersei Lannister from Game of Thrones. Like Lady Macbeth, Cersei is firstly ambitious, willing to whatever it takes to get and keep power. Both women are not just power hungry, but also deeply involved in shaping the men around them, pushing their husband or sons toward ruthless decisions. No, um, but the difference is how how they deal with that comes after. No, guilt and conscious um, that they have. No, Lady Macbeth famously breaks down under her guilt, thinking about those unstoppable blood stains on her hands, leading to her mental collapse and death. So if we think about the song The Dream That Never Ends, which fits Lady Macbeth, torment, and unconscious struggle, how would it change if it were about Cersei? Maybe it could be about haunted dreams or a guilt at all. Instead, it could be darker and more defiant, maybe even victorious. The lyric could reflect and sharp a strategic mind, unshaken ambition, and embracing the consequences without regret. It's fascinating how the spirit of Lady Macbeth echoes through characters like Cersei, showing us different phases of power, conscience, and identity across centuries and stories.
Definitely. The thing is that when this was written, and at the time when the collection of data was made by William Shakespeare, um, and even when the data was written by Holinshed, they clearly had no idea what the conscious mind and the unconscious mind were. Um, they could talk about events, they could talk about situations, but they could not analyze them from the point of view we are doing it today, because neither Freud nor Jung had been born at that time. So it's very difficult to imagine how they would cope with all this. They knew guilt, all right, because guilt has been a topic through religious speeches and homilies and in church. And so they knew guilt and regret, but not to the extent to which we deal with it today from a psychological standpoint. So it's very interesting that we are doing this because we are 21st century readers and watchers and listeners. Therefore, our analysis will vary and will differ from whatever they thought at that time. Maybe at that time, all they cared about was the fact that, for example, Lady Macbeth was ruthless and that she sent some poison into her husband's ear, and she says so in the play, and that all of this led to some sort of bewitching or enchantment by which she got or became a sleepwalker, right? And that there she had visions that came to punish her and to haunt her for what she had done. But clearly, nobody would have analyzed it as we are doing today. So, with all this being said, we have to talk about something else, because this Lady Macbeth starts having these episodes in which she sleepwalks, and Macbeth asks the doctor to cure her, to give her something that will help her do away with this disease, illness, ailment, you name it. And the doctor says the only way in which she can be helped is by helping herself. That in these cases, just the patient has to help themselves. It's impossible for the doctor to do anything. Now, the question that arises next is, did she do anything? Could she do anything? If you've got an answer, because it's a conundrum, it's like a very tight spot. We know that she died, right?
Yes,
The problem we have is, how did she die?
but we don't know either.
Right. That's the conundrum. That's the tight spot, because the assumed idea is that she killed herself, that she committed suicide. But it's nowhere to be found in the text.
No, the only thing we can read about is the queen, my lord, is dead.
Right. Coming from a servant.
Yes.
But there's no telling whether she killed herself or if she just died because of she had not slept for a long time, and you know that lack of sleep can kill you eventually. So we really don't know.
Not really. No, not really.
Okay, so this is a mystery, all right?
Yes,
It's an open question without answer. All we know is she died.
indeed.
Mhm.
It's never directly shown, but heavily implied through her mental breakdown, other comments.
And this leads to a reaction on the side of Macbeth, which is very baffling, right? Um, because you would have expected him to, I don't know, cry, yell, go see her, try to see what had happened. But none of this happened. When Macbeth found out, all he did was give us a speech, which was very cold and indifferent. That's a word. It's an indifferent speech. All right.
Yeah,
And he sees that life is meaningless. He
yeah,
understands finally that life is meaningless. So, well, that's why this is a tragedy. All right.
indeed, indeed.
Because there's no happy ending.
No, like life.
Well, I don't know about life, but I would say that there are some happy endings and some sad endings.
Yeah,
But
true.
really, in this case, for Macbeth and his lady, everything was horrible because of the things they did. So some people will say they had it coming. Uh, but then again, I go back to your ideas about Foucault and how power functions, and the way in which they acted was what they did at that time, and probably they still do.
Yes, indeed.
People are still murdered for political and power reasons. So this is not new, and it hasn't finished.
In Foucault terms, it could be her deviance from what a woman or a queen should be.
So she was a deviant queen.
Yes.
Okay. It fits the channel all right. Okay. Because she was not uncanny but deviant. So we will accept her as part of the staff here.
Yes, could be.
Okay. So would you like to say bye-bye to the audience?
Oh, yes. Thanks to all of you for listening, and thank you for letting me join again.
No, it's a pleasure. We all like to have you here, and the audience really enjoys these podcasts. So I will ask you, please subscribe to the channel because it's free of charge. Give us a like, it's free of charge. And then again, we'll be seeing you again soon. Bye bye.